My name is Mary Ann Hamilton. My late husband was Lawrence Morgan Hamilton. He was the great-great-grandson of Alexander Hamilton. His maternal grandfather was J.P. Morgan. He was named Lawrence for Alexander Hamilton's best friend, John Lawrence. My Lawrence was a member of the New York State Assembly about 250 years after Alexander Hamilton held the same seat. On the wall around the site of Alexander Hamilton's birthplace is a plaque my husband unveiled at the bicentennial of Hamilton's birth, January 11th, 1957. Lawrence was appointed by President Dwight Eisenhower as chairman of the Committee on the Birthplace and Boyhood Home of Alexander Hamilton. Lawrence made several visits to Nevis and St. Croix. Lawrence also founded the Society of Friends of the Blind on the island of Nevis. My first visit to Nevis was in February of 1966. My husband was invited to meet Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip when they were on an official visit to St. Kitts and Nevis for Great Britain. That was quite a day when the Queen ship, the Britannia, sailing to Nevis from St. Kitts. The red carpet was down on the pier. A vessel was sent to our chartered yacht to pick up Lawrence and take him to the pier so he could be in the receiving line. Queen Elizabeth, in a bright yellow dress and hat, walked down the pier and met the dignitaries. The Queen spoke with Lawrence, and she was very knowledgeable about Alexander Hamilton events. On that visit, Lawrence had a guide take us around the island and see the sights. We stopped at Morning Star and visited the exhibition of Horatio Nelson's memorabilia at Mr. Robert Abraham's residence. This collection was of letters, pictures, books, objects of art, and included china plates that were used at Nelson Nesbitt's wedding. Now they are housed at a museum near Government House. We also visited with Ava Wilkins during our stay. She's the most famous artist on the island of Nevis. On September the 19th, 1983, the island of Nevis and St. Kitts became independent from Great Britain. Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret was there. She was the guest of honor at the luncheon on Penny's Beach. Later that afternoon, Cecily Tyson, the American actor, whose parents were born on Nevis, cut the ribbon for the ceremony of opening Alexander Hamilton's restored birthplace and museum. I presented Nevis with silver candlesticks that had belonged to Alexander Hamilton. In recognition of my husband and my love of Nevis, I wanted to give more to the museum. I had an original portrait of Alexander Hamilton with a Society of Cincinnati's eagle on his chest. My husband, Lawrence Hamilton, had a copy of that portrait made in 1960, and he gave it to the Society of the Cincinnati in Washington, D.C., my hometown. I'm sure most of you do not know about the Society of the Cincinnati. I didn't until later. I thought Cincinnati, Ohio, but Ohio was not one of the original 13 states. The officers of the Continental Army at the end of the Revolutionary War decided to preserve the memory of the American Revolution. The Society of Cincinnati is the oldest patriotic organization in the United States. The members are the oldest sons of the officers who fought in the war. The officers named the society after Cincinnatus, a Roman statesman in 500 BC who won his battles and wanted to return to the farm. Like George Washington wanted to return to Mount Vernon. Washington's men started calling him Cincinnatus. When I returned home, I called the Society of the Cincinnati's headquarters at the Anderson House in Washington, D.C., to inquire if they would like the original portrait of Alexander Hamilton, with the understanding the Society would send the copy of Alexander Hamilton's portrait to the island of Nevis. They said they would be happy to do that. That portrait is the one that is hanging in the Birthplace Museum. I donated a number of first edition books and a picture of George Washington and his officers to the museum. On my 7th visit to Nevis in 2018, the newly appointed Deputy Premier, Mark Brentley, whose birthday is also on January 11th, with a number of guests, we sang Happy Birthday to the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society in cold New York at Trinity Church, where Alexander Hamilton is buried. And they sang Happy Birthday back to us in the sunny, warm, tropical Nevis. On October 12th, 2018, I was invited to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut, for the unveiling of the Alexander Hamilton statue in front of Hamilton Hall. This is a life-size statue created by renowned sculptor Benjamin Victor, the same sculptor that made the statue we see here today at Hamilton's birthplace. At that ceremony, Mr. Victor praised Rand Chalet for all the help he gave him in getting the statue completed in time for the unveiling. When my husband died February the 8th, 1978, he requested his ashes be taken out to sea on the 5th Coast Guard cutter named Hamilton, number 715, and he wanted them scattered in the Caribbean Sea. He hoped they would find their way back to Nevis, St. Kitts, and St. Croix, where Alexander Hamilton grew up. Enjoy your time on Nevis and St. Kitts. I love these islands. The Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society is the best source of accurate, researched information about Alexander Hamilton, the founding father of the United States of America. To learn more, visit the ahasociety.org.